Alright, what's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, back here in PlayStation Source. And if you guys weren't watching the Square Enix conference, which, to be honest, a lot of things were not great about that Square conference. Guardians was cool, right? Guardians cool, but we did get the official confirmation of a game that was leaked a few weeks back, and I think I talked about it here in the channel, or maybe I brought it up on Save Slot Podcast, whichever one. But of course, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin was announced, and they did roll out a demo for the game as well that day, quote unquote, because if you guys recall, if you didn't know, they dropped the demo like right after the press conference, but then the file was like corrupted and nobody could access it for like a day and a half, close to 2 days. So kind of wild that that's how the start of this demo was. But then I eventually got to it last night and I was playing it all today, and I want to sit down and really just give you guys my thoughts and impressions about Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Now, first up here, to keep some things into consideration, okay? Number one, this game is an alpha, right? So definitely there's a lot of things that I want to talk about here that definitely this game is not polished, okay? Like it's not looking the best. Even you can see the gameplay up here, right? But number two as well, I am not familiar at all with Souls games, right? I mean, I did play Jedi Fallen Order, but a lot of people say that that's not really a Souls game, and honestly, after playing this, I can definitely tell that Jedi Fallen Order is definitely not that big of a Souls game as a whole. But overall, I have tried Bloodborne many a time, and after this, after playing this game, after playing this experience, maybe I'm a little bit eased in terms of me going into Bloodborne again here in the very near future. But let's talk about the game itself, okay? So this is the demo that you can access on PS5 right now. I think it's up until like June 24th. I think I'll put a date here or something for the actual date when I go get a confirmation. But this game does not look great, okay? So let's talk visual and audio real quick. When it was shown off on the stream for Square Enix during their E3 conference, I kind of thought it was looking kind of suspect, what I'm saying? Like it was looking a little bit wild, but I figured okay, maybe it's the bitrate of the stream, right? Maybe it's just because it looks a little wild, right? But then I went and watched the trailer on YouTube that night, and yeah, it was looking in a similar fashion. I get the game, I get the demo going, and not much to report here, okay? So it definitely does look essentially like a PS3 game. I'm not even capping about that. I'm not lying. Like it really does look like a PS3 game in actuality. Like not even a PS4 game. I mean like maybe early PS4 gen, maybe, but it definitely reminds me of a PS3 game in terms of like the way like certain like brighter colors have like this like aura around it, and it's a very dark and brown and gray game. Definitely does feel like PS3 to me. But I will say again, it's an alpha, so maybe these will improve, and I'm pretty sure they will improve upon the final game and everything. But in terms of the audio as well, the soundtrack was kind of like a mix of like a rock and roll type of vibe with a Final Fantasy type of vibe as well to it. So it did have a Final Fantasy sound to it, but it did kind of feel a little bit like a rock edgy type of soundtrack, which I was not expecting at all. But it wasn't too bad, just not my particular taste of music overall. But and I tend to like a lot of the Final Fantasy music that I've played. Granted, I've only played Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and if you want to count Integrate as well with that, sure, Yuffie DLC and Final Fantasy 15 and all the DLC with that game as well. And I have consistently liked all the Final Fantasy music up until this one. I don't hate it, just not really my jam. Maybe that's just a matter of preference, right? Sound effects I think were pretty cool. I did feel like the like blocking sound when someone was doing like a rapid fire melee against me. It kind of felt and sounded like Sekiro. I've never played Sekiro myself, but I watched a lot of Sekiro gameplay from streamers. Afro, his playthrough was funny as hell. But it sounded kind of like that. But above all else, like overall, I feel like the sound effects kind of sounded kind of flat. Once again, could be an alpha, could be compression, who knows. But I didn't feel like the sound effects were like that great. They were pretty good, but they overall kind of just sounded kind of muddy and kind of flat overall. But they were not that bad, right? The VO was horrible. The VO is horrible. There's none there. Let's just move on because the VO is horrible.
We're here to kill chaos.
The prophecy's very own warriors of light.
He always wore such splendid armor. with a helmet that was terrifying to behold.
Going into the gameplay here, okay, so of course, once again, not that big into Souls games. I kind of, not avoid them, but kind of, sidestep them, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people want, I know a lot of people want me to play Bloodborne and everything, and Demon Souls and all that, but, I'm kind of doing a little sidestep. I'm not really, not really particularly into that genre that much, but I did want to challenge myself. I did want to play this game. I did want to play this demo, and it was challenging. It was pretty tough that first night, last night overall, right? I was getting my ass kicked and everything, but I did start to learn, and the game started to really show me how exactly to play the game itself. And I gotta say, beating that final boss, beating Chaos, yes, I beat Chaos. Beating Chaos, I gotta say, was pretty exhilarating and pretty fun overall. I gotta say so myself, right? So I did, intentionally take the time in this demo to really learn the mechanics, really learn the game, really, take a little bit to kind of not only learn this game, but also learn the deep mechanics of a Souls game, right? So I did take a lot of time with that, and I gotta say, one of the things that I liked about this game a lot was being able to switch my classes mid gameplay and mid fight and everything, in terms of, you have a Lancer, which I think is like a spear class, which I did not use. You have a swordsman class and a mage class, okay? So the mage can be a little bit more your spells, and the swordsman is going to be, of course, your main damage output. You're using a bunch of swords and everything and all that good stuff, right? So I feel like they did a really good job at allowing you to switch to those classes really on the fly, because they do switch over really quickly. And I found myself learning that, hey, when I see a bomb right in a corridor, I'm gonna want to use my mage, because I can use maybe a water spell on them, or I can keep deflecting their fire attacks that they do to me. That way I can blow them up and kill a lot more people that are down the hall, different stuff like that. So I feel like they did a really good job at doing that. And of course, after I'm done with those bombs, I can switch over to my swordsman class and then do some DPS, do some just raw damage on goblins and wolves and stuff like that. So I really do feel like they did a really good job at that whole standpoint. But definitely I started to get the hang of attacks, because of course the main thing with Souls games, is the timing, is the ability to know when to step aside and not use like an ability because you have a low break limit and all that good stuff. And so learning all of that and really getting familiar with the timing of attacks, stamina management, break meter management as well, which I did bring it up before, but break meter was something that I really did have to learn on this demo, because I'm not familiar with the Souls genre that much. But I definitely did start to get the hang of it. I definitely started to get the hang of it. I just got off a run right here where I only died like 3 times, and those 3 times were at the final boss. And so I feel like, I'm low-key doing my thing out here. Low-key, I'm kind of, I'm kind of nice at this demo on normal mode, by the way, because I'm not playing hard. I'm playing on normal mode, by the way. Normal difficulty for these thoughts and impressions. But definitely I struggled. I'm not gonna lie, chat like I'm fucking live streaming. Definitely struggled a lot, but I did find my way through it all. But I think what's a really cool aspect about this game as well is that, the way you're able to utilize your different spells when you're a mage, and how those spells interact with the environment, right? So I figured out that, long story short, there's a room eventually where there's a lot of enemies that swarm around you, a bunch of wolves swarm you, and that's a very open area, but there's grass in this area, right? So I figured out over time that I could use the fire spell to cast it near an enemy, and eventually that fire will spread towards the grass and then spread towards every other enemy in the vicinity of that grass, thus getting them all weak, and then going in and then getting those kills and everything. And so I really did feel like there was a lot of really cool ways that you could use the spells. Another example as well, on that final boss, Chaos, he ends up doing this spell called Firebringer, where he lights his sword on fire essentially. And this is pretty bad because you can do a soul shield and deflect it all good and well, but the problem is that if you want to just regular block, you will still take fire damage because the sword's on fire, right? So I figured out a lot of cool ways to be able to, number one, just use the water spell on him when he's summoning that Firebringer spell. That way, it'll cancel out the fire and you're all good. So I found like little ways like that, and I think that there's a bunch of other ways that you can do it in this game and like in this demo that I just didn't find. But I found out that like there's a lot of cool ways to be able to maneuver and use the environment to your advantage when you're using these different spells and everything. And so if like you think it would make sense like mentally definitely it likely will make sense in the game's logic overall. So I did call them classes, but like, you know, the actual, you know, mage and the swordsman are actually called jobs, I think, I'm pretty sure. So there were different job trees, which are skill trees for each individual job, which is of course swordsman, mage, etc. And you know, I felt those were pretty straightforward, nothing crazy, you know, definitely remind me a little bit of 5SC15 if you guys are familiar with that type of skill tree, but nothing too crazy there, just pretty straightforward thing as well. And the same thing I can say about the equipment and the different abilities that you get as well. You're able to map different you know, moves to different combo sets. So like, you know, I had my controls to square and triangle for my you know, square on my regular attack, and then triangle for my special ability when I had enough MP in the bottom left hand corner, which I think is a pretty cool system as well, and overall I really liked it. But you know, again, that was pretty straightforward too. Everything's all pretty good, like in terms of like the equipment and the different, you know, aspects of the menu system. I quickly got used to it, you know, and it was totally fine on that standpoint. So overall, bottom line, right, of course this is an alpha, right? This is a demo of an alpha, so definitely did not look like a PS5 game, even though it was a PS5 demo. Definitely did not look like it. It didn't sound the best, you know. I thought the music was kind of questionable, but the sound effects definitely were kind of flat and everything for me personally. But overall, just from a gameplay perspective, I actually had a lot of fun with it. And you know, this was pretty much like my first like true, you know, foray into you know, a true Souls game, right? And you know, of course I've had, you know, times of Bloodborne in the past, and I've tried it here and there, just didn't really connect with me. But this one, I feel, you know, it kind of did, you know. I kind of got the hang of it, you know, and I kind of got pretty good, at least I think so. I don't know, you know. And then of course, you know, it can only go up from here, right? Like I can only get better at the game anyway. So overall, I end up liking it. And you know, I'm not saying I'm gonna, you know, sit here and, you know, buy the game day one. Maybe, you know, I want to hear a little bit more about the game and everything and see it in a better quality overall. But I gotta say, I am keeping my eyes on this game for sure. I'm keeping my eyes on it, and I may mess around and do a full playthrough when the game comes out. And definitely I do have a little bit of a ease of mind at the prospect of trying Bloodborne again after, you know, feeling comfortable with this game. I think I can, you know, get to Bloodborne next up, but we'll see when the time comes for that. Let me know what you guys think about Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. How do you like it? Did you try the demo? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And make sure also, while you are down there, check out the description where you can find links to our Discord, our Twitter, and the Anchor link. That way you can listen to our long form content and podcast format. Those of course being the Road 2 series. Of course, Road to Rift Apart is ending here shortly, and of course Save Slot Podcast as well. Check out all the other content on the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video, stay subscribed to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you all for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.